International Women's Day, 8 March, is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. Pakistan is among the list of countries that are signatories to all of the key international commitments to gender equality and women's human rights. On the national front, a national policy for development and empowerment of women has also been adopted. According to the Global Gender Gap Index (GGGI) 2020, Pakistan has reduced the gender gap by 56% by giving more and more representation to women at different forums. Despite this, we have to go a long way to reaching at the desirable state of affairs. Conventionally, women have been working in the fields of medicine and education, and, more eminently in the development sector, we have witnessed an increased women participation at all levels including leadership roles. However, in the fields of finance and economics, we see that there exists a wide gender gap. Nonetheless, the Competition Commission of Pakistan enjoys the distinction of being one such public sector organization, where women remained an integral part of its core functions since its establishment. As the country's premier economic regulator, the CCP strives to provide free competition in all spheres of commercial and economic activity, to enhance economic efficiency, and to protect consumers from anti-competitive behavior. Two accomplished and distinguished women professionals were amongst the first founding members of the Commission, in 2007. With the appointment of Ms. Rahat Kaunain Hassan as chairperson in 2010, the CCP became the only regulatory body to be headed by a woman. With the addition of another member, Ms. Vadia Khalil in 2010, the Commission comprised of 2 female and 3 male members. Between 2014 to April 2020, the CCP was headed by a lady chairperson, who was joined by 2 female members, including Ms. Shaista Bano and Ms. Bush Rahnaz in 2019. And then in July 2020, Ms. Rahat Kaunain Hassan was again appointed as chairperson. 3 out of 4 times, CCP has been headed by a woman, but also, remarkably, 3 out of 4 of its current members are also women. Moreover, the average gender representation ratio at CCP has been at least 1/3 of its team of officers. The CCP achieved some major milestones under women leadership. Some of these achievements include the transition of temporary law from an ordinance to the passing of the Competition Act, 2010. The establishment, setting up of the present office in the center of the capital, thus resulting in better access for employees and the public, better workplace, as well as reduced expenditures for CCP, with 35% of saving in operational costs. In fact, it has been said that CCP remains an office that the government can justly be proud of, and can be advertised as a model to adopt. It is termed as having a definite touch of feng shui about the place: open, bright and clean. CCP became the first regulatory authority from South Asia ahead of its counterparts in China, India and Singapore, to be included in the GCR's annual rating enforcement, and the only new entrant to be granted a rating of 2.5 stars out of 5, for being an effective enforcer, despite being the youngest agency. CCP's landmark decision of granting the first ever leniency and breaking a cartel in switchgear and transformer markets was termed as a regulatory breakthrough. The decision was nominated in the GCR category of Behavioral Matter of the Year Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa region in 2012. A bold initiative by CCP to request and volunteer for an impartial and rigorous peer review by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. CCP has witnessed peak enforcement against cartels and other anti-competitive practices, taking the amount of penalty imposed from 7 billion to over 28 billion rupees. In 2013, the GCR recognized Ms. Rahat Kaunain Hassan as one of 100 successful women in antitrust globally. Earlier in 2009, Ms. Maliha Mimi Bangash was included in the list. One of the few public sector entities which has established a daycare facility within the office premises for female employees to cater to their personal needs while also allowing them flexible office timings on a need basis. Two of the most successful international conferences with representation of over 20 competition agencies was held with participation from the highest level of government dignitaries, including the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister. The momentum of advocacy built in the start of the decade continued towards the middle, when the CCP's outreach was extended to academia and businesses in smaller cities, thus creating the much-needed awareness and promoting a culture of compliance. In 2016, the GCR elevated the CCP's rating from 2.5 to 3 stars. Most recently, CCP also witnessed two major milestones, that is, resolution of two chronic issues impacting the sustainability of the organization. These include the Federal Cabinet in its meeting in November 2020 demonstrated its unequivocal support to the CCP by approving the issuance of a statutory regulatory order (SRO) prescribing 3% of fee and charges levied by OGRA, PTA, SECP, NAPRA, and PAMRA from the financial year 2009 to 2010 and onwards to meet charges in connection with the functioning of the CCP, which had been pending since 2009. In this regard, it is also worth mentioning that 2 of the 5 regulators have started making contributions to the CCP fund. In October 2020, finally the long-pending cases on constitutional vias of the law reached a conclusion, to the extent that CCP was granted relief, and the 3-member bench of the Honourable Lahore High Court upheld the vias and constitutionality of the Competition Act 2010 and dismissed challenges assailing the legislative competence of the Federation to enact a law on competition. These accomplishments were critical and will go a long way in making the organization autonomous, robust and effective in discharge of its functions. Among other functions, the Commission is empowered by the Competition Act 2010 to prohibit the abuse of dominant position, certain types of anti-competitive agreements and cartelization, deceptive marketing practices, and the creation of dominance through anti-competitive mergers and acquisitions. To enforce the law, CCP, among other activities, initiates inquiries, conducts studies, search and inspections, and forcible entrees and adjudicates upon matters to conclude the initiated proceedings.
I was part of first search and inspection team, then chairman and particularly the 2 female members. They provided such an enabling environment and such a protective and facilitating environment to all the female. We were able to work without any pressures and without any fears.
Interestingly, when I joined, the department was headed by a woman, so the glass ceiling was already shattered and I felt very comfortable working. And we also have a very good gender balance in our team.
Inclusion of women in the search and inspection teams has actually benefited the investigations because women, by their general instincts, are good at exploring, discovering, mapping, and finding out the things.
We can put a lot of effort in controlling the gender stereotypes. And in this regard, I think dissemination of right information to women is very important, and Commission has been very successfully doing that.
Making a choice to move to a city which was 800 miles away from my hometown was the most challenging decision that I made. It has empowered me as a woman, and I realized that I could depend on myself.
The complaints received in the Office of Fair Trade not only impacts the end consumers, but also benefits the businesses by laying down the principles of fair trade. Our objective in this department is to conclude the inquiries at the earliest.
Coming to CCP was different because you see a lot of strong and bold women in leadership here that you don't find out there.
It's really great for me to have this opportunity to work with 3 accomplished member ladies. I feel comfortable working with them. We work together as a team to achieve the best results for our institution. The Commission's working environment is very professional, friendly and safe. We at the Commission take pride in that.
I remember when I joined the commission, there were only a handful of women, but now most of our departments are headed by my female colleagues.
वर्किंग इन्वायरमेंट मुझे इतना अच्छा मिला जिसकी वजह से जो है मैं यहाँ 10 साल तक काम करती रही हूँ। ज़्यादा ख़वातीन सीनियर पोस्ट पे नज़र आती हैं हमें और इनके लिए डे केयर सेंटर की प्रोविज़न भी दे दी गई है।
Looking back to the past, I must say that the work environment has improved quite a lot in a number of ways. It's more conducive and favorable to women now.
Once you have the can-do attitude, you can prove that it's not very easy to help back the women from their top.
The commission overall, with almost 40 to 50% of women employees, has a very conducive working environment for females. We feel empowered.
I would highly appreciate the extraordinary support from my office to perform my duties.
Sometimes it's very difficult for me to manage, but when I see women around me, I get inspired and it's keep me going on.
It gives me a sense of great pleasure, not only for the fellow working women that I'm surrounded by, but also my fellow male colleagues. They've been so accommodating.
The key is to stay focused, get organized and find the right balance between profession and parenthood.
There are very rare days जो कि overburdened होते हैं, लेकिन आपके colleagues, आपके जो seniors हैं वो इतने cooperative हैं कि आपको जो है ना बहुत flexibility मिल जाती है.
So basically what inclined me to join CCP was that it has majority of women in leadership roles.
Women have led the commission during the majority of its lifespan, which is very encouraging for a beginner like myself.
Monopoly Control Authority में मैंने ज्वाइन किया था और तब से लेकर अब तक लोगों के बिहेवियर में मर्द हजरात के हमारे साथ जो हमारे कोलीग्स हैं उसमें भी काफ़ी बेहतरी आई है।
मैं आई CCP में बहुत अच्छा इन्वायरमेंट था लेडीज़ के लिए। सबसे ज़्यादा जो अच्छा था वो डे केयर की यहाँ पे फैसिलिटीज़ भी थी।
यहाँ पे ऑफिसर स्टाफ सब बहुत ज़्यादा कोऑपरेटिव थे और उन्होंने ही बहुत सपोर्ट किया। आज तक जितना भी टाइम गुजरा बहुत अच्छा गुजरा यहाँ पे।
Being a ladies मुझे किसी किस्म की कोई दिक्कत नहीं हुई। I'm a strong woman.
मैं एक रिस्पेक्टेबल वे में लीड कर रही हूँ। I'm a strong woman.
All the time I have this intense feeling that each one of them has the courage of a commando, love of a mother, wisdom of a goddess and the roar of a lion.
Ms. Rahat Kaunain Hassan, Chairperson CCP, sharing her views.
It feels good to be back. I've always treated CCP as my fifth baby. Being the youngest and at a tender age, it demands and takes a lot of time. But I have faith that with time and in due course, it will mature and bloom. As for gender challenge, I never viewed my gender as a barrier. In fact, on a lighter note, our first chairman, he used to call me the honorary male member, and I always took it as a compliment. I've been very lucky in this regard that I had the family and support from the spouse. I think work-life balance is a very important factor contributing to your personal satisfaction and professional success. It has been a crisis management. So you struggle, there's stress time, and you come out. You have to work hard. Important factor is you must have the clarity with which you are pursuing your targets. I think empowerment has to do a lot with making the right choices, taking the right decisions, timely and for the right reasons. I think it's equally applicable to a regulatory body as it is to a woman. You have to take charge and control of your decisions. I wish you all a very happy Women's Day.
CCP's female members and employees are professionals of merit, and we hope that they continue to be the torchbearers for making CCP a globally competitive competition agency.